It's Lucy Litch, and this is Tiny House Conversations. It's the Australian-based podcast where I interview experienced tiny houses, tiny builders, and adventurers in the tiny world so you can discover how to create, build, and transition into tiny life. Welcome back to Tiny House Conversations. Today I had the pleasure of speaking with Jan and Kev, who are experienced DIY tiny houses, originally from the UK, but who are living in the Gold Coast in Queensland. And their tiny house journey is all about financial freedom and a lifestyle more aligned with their consciences. They self-built their off-the-grid home 4 years ago, and they lease an acre of land from their good friends. For Jan and Kev, tiny house life has been a very positive change. They've had some great experiences and met many like-minded people who they never would have met if it wasn't for their tiny house, and they couldn't imagine any other way to live. And you really get to hear and feel that when you listen to the episode today. And in this conversation, we talk about some of the perspective shifts that Jan and Kev experience from living the tiny lifestyle, their off-the-grid setup, including what they do with solar, water, and even management of their grey water. We also talked about what they love most about tiny living, all about their juice and smoothie tiny space business, which has allowed them to design their working lifestyle on their own terms. And then Kev and Jan also shared valuable advice for curious newbie tiny houses who are interested in this way of living but don't know where to start. You'll definitely want to tune in for this episode. There's lots more to come. Now let's go chat with Jan and Kev. Hey, Jan and Kev, welcome to Tiny House Conversations, and thanks so much for joining me today.
Hello.
Hi, Jan.
So, you both live in a beautiful tiny home in the Gold Coast in Queensland. And I'd love if you're able to start by taking us back to where your tiny house story started, and what was it that inspired you to want to build a tiny house together?
It sort of started off, obviously we come from England originally, and we've been here about 15 years now. And it was coming from England, you're in small, tiny spaces anyway. It's not meant that way, but it's just everyone's crammed in. And it was that we come here, we got the big house, and it was just something we tried, and it was every day, every weekend, but there was always something to do, in and around the house. And then we saw a video of Minimalistics, I think it was, documentary, and it just sort of resonated with us, really. So we sort of looked into that sort of life, and then it sort of took us on to the tiny builds, and we were at the stage where all the kids were sort of leaving home as well. So that's basically where it stems from.
Going back to basics and what's important.
Yeah, exactly.
Without a doubt. I mean, it's not until you actually do this type of living, it's that it sort of takes you down different pathways, and also pathways of thinking as well. It just makes more, life more simplistic. And, we're absolutely bombarded out there, with the TV and, marketing, and, you've got to do this, you've got to get that. And, it just sort of opens your eyes up a bit more, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. You just mentioned there, Kev, about like different ways of thinking and seeing things. Do you have examples of maybe some of the shifts that might have come up for you now that you've transitioned into this way of living for a while?
It really does clear your mind. When you're not worried about getting the car or the big house or things like that, it just makes you concentrate on more and appreciate more what you've got in the world, as in outside living. The big appreciation for me is how valuable water is now.
Yeah, so more sustainable. So you're more aware of like nature. You're more aware of your impact on the planet. Number one, like one of the biggest things for us that was almost within 6 months of moving in here, we both actually became vegan. So because you live in as you do, you just become aware of what's going on around you and what you can do, even as like one person, your impact on the people around you as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that it seems like an opportunity to make more conscious lifestyle choices, and that even though sometimes it can feel like, well, what am I what can I do as just one person? But if each of us, made a few small shifts in our lives, those little things do add up to big things collectively for sure.
Oh, massively. Like our whole circle of friends, there's probably maybe one or two out of the whole lot that we've had no impact on. But everyone else, I mean, they're all taken a sort of a little piece out of how we've gone along. I mean, to start with, they all thought we were nuts. Because obviously that we were living the dream. We had the big house with the swimming pool and 2 full-time jobs and all of that, and they just thought we were absolutely crazy. And now 4 years later, everyone's like had a complete change of heart about the way we're living. And like many of our friends, actually 3 lots of our friends in the last 6 months have all turned vegan. I've got everyone composting. It's like nearly all of our friends are growing their own fruit and veggies. So yeah, you can have a massive influence.
Wow, that's really beautiful to hear. It's really heartening, and I think it's an example of when you're living in alignment with what feels most true for you and what's important, and you're being this example that other people, not everyone, but other people tend to come along for the ride, maybe in their own time, and like this source of inspiration for those in your community and your family. So that's really beautiful.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Definitely. So again, it's not for everyone, but
yeah,
if you asked me 20 years ago whether I'd be living the way I live now, people would just laugh. I would laugh as well. It's not until you actually do something like this, something different, and it's not scary and it's not difficult, but it's not until you do something like this that it really does open your eyes. I don't think, all right, you can listen to people that do it, but until you've actually done it yourself, I don't think you can actually appreciate, because I think we all take something different out of it.
Yes, definitely. It's having that direct experience of it for yourself. And, you guys have DIY'd your tiny house and you're off the grid, as I understand it. And I'd love if you're able to share with us, what your setup is like off grid in terms of things like solar and water.
The electric comes from solar. So we've got 4 390 amp hour batteries, 3 solar panels on the roof, and we've just got like a little setup that we've got on the front of the trailer, which is the A-frame. I just put a little shed in there, and that basically sits all the solar system. Regards to water, we've got a 5,000 litre capacity water tank, which isn't enough. It's been okay, but if we did it again, or we had room, I'd put another one in. So probably about, for 2 of us, probably about 10,000 litres would be ample.
But having said that, this year,
this year's been all right,
because obviously Queensland summer's been so wet this year, so we haven't had to pay for water at all. But we've probably, in the last 3 previous years to that, we've probably had to fill it up twice a year, just because of the fact that we live in southeast Queensland, really.
So when you've had to fill it up those times, do you use something like a local water carter or something like that?
Yeah. We don't like to do it though, because they obviously the water that they give us is treated, whereas our water is rainwater, which goes through a charcoal filter, and the difference is just absolutely amazing. So as soon as they do a fill up, you can smell the chemicals in the water straight away, because you're not used to it.
Did you use any kind of water filter on the inside of your home at those times to filter that water, or?
Yeah, it goes through a filter system, regardless whether we get a town tanker in or it's just rainwater, because it's all mixed in together and it's all filtered.
Okay, beautiful. And what kind of setup do you have for managing grey water?
Grey water is just filtered out into the land. So what I've got is a pipe that comes from all the sinks, the showers, and what have you. That just goes out. And what I've done is just basically filters out through a series of trenches through the land. like you would do on a septic system, really, but it's a simplistic one set up.
Okay, great. And you have a composting toilet as well, yeah?
We have, yeah.
Yeah, and how has that been going?
I think everyone should have one personally. They're like, it's like I was actually the most worried about it. Being London born and bred, I was like, compost toilet. I was thinking it was going to be horrendous, but it's,
you don't have to clear it out, I do.
Yeah, well, but yeah, I mean, it's so clean. We empty it maybe once a fortnight, and it's or Kev empties it once a fortnight. Yeah, and it's like literally, it's like you probably use about 3 cups of water a day as opposed to bloody hundreds of litres for a normal toilet. And there's zero smell, which is the thing that most people worry about. The one that we got has got like a little suction, like a fan inside, and it blows all the smell out through like a little air vent. And it's like, seriously, it's the best toilet ever.
No, it's a good system. And you know what? Where I compost it, it's but we've been here 3 years and 4 years, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, 4 years, and it's the soil down there is amazing. And it is easy. Once you get used to it, it's easy.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, the environmental impact in terms of what you're saying before with all the water usage and just so much water that we're using is so incredible. And it's
unbelievable that we use treated water for toilets. It's unbelievable. Like there should be some system in this day and age where you can use your grey water in your own toilet.
No, I think there is now.
Yeah, well, it should be regular for everyone.
I'm reading you guys might have read it or heard of it, but the Humanure Handbook, which I know is like a staple in the tiny house world and for people, especially around composting toilets or dry toilets. And it is astonishing at just, you know, how we got to where we are in terms of the waste of water and how we can use resources as you're saying before, Kev, to regenerate the land and build beautiful soil, which, you know, is so much more eco-friendly than, you know, just a regular flushing toilet. And in terms of the build, so what kind of materials did you use and where did you source your materials from? Were there any salvage materials? Did you use more new materials?
Yeah, well, the framework we had built in steel, because obviously we want to keep the weight down to minimal, and also termites as well. So that was really, really good. But as in other materials, yeah, we just whenever we could, we went to the local reclaim centres and pick up stuff. But fortunately, majority of what we had to use, like with the actual structural, you know, and the paneling, and that had to be new. We couldn't pick up anything, or we couldn't find anything at the time that was that we could reuse.
Yeah, although we recently put or since we moved in, we've put a roof over the front deck, and that's all reclaimed. We've also built a little shed out the back that's from the reclamation yard. But yeah, the original build, almost everything was new.
Beautiful. And I'm wondering as well, with your DIY build, so did you have much experience before in terms of building or anything similar before you embarked on your tiny house build?
I've worked in the building game for quite a long time now. So I'm a plumber by trade, but I've always worked with builders and alongside builders and other trades. So, and always picked up a bit here and there, and nothing was really, apart from the electrics. You know, I could run all the wiring and do, but you know, I had to get an electrician in to finalise everything. But yeah, other than that, everything was, it was just.
I'm a pretty good labourer as well, aren't I?
You're good as well. Aren't you?
I'm good with a wheelbarrow.
I love it. I love it. Did you come up against any really big challenges during the building process?
Yeah, no, the weather was, because we built on site, and we started it in January, which is obviously middle of summer. So we quickly learnt wear big hats and lots of sunscreen. And then when it rains, it absolutely chucks it down. So
that was one little tip for your listeners, that if they're ever thinking about, building with a trailer. What I had is that I wanted to insulate. So the trailer maker that I got, he put a lower floor, so you had the beams set up with the lower floor, so I could, if you're looking down on the trailer, I put insulation in, lay the insulation in, and then my idea was to put the subfloor on top, which that happened. I did that, and then I put some sheeting over it to protect it, which I thought protected it, and then we had like quite a bit of rain, and then long story short is I had to go up underneath because the rain got in and just sat in between that void, if you like. So I had to get underneath and drill out all the rivets and drop the panel down and take all the insulation out. So I definitely recommend doing it, but make sure when you do it, make sure it's 100% waterproof. No rain can get in.
Or build inside.
Yeah, I've heard that before from other people too. Did you build your home on the land that you're parked on now?
Yeah, they just bought the trailer straight in, and then we bought all the materials to the trailer and worked from there.
Right. That's great. Yeah. So you didn't even have to worry about like towing it to the final location, which is great.
No, the only thing we have to worry about is whether we can get it out of the location now.
Yeah, I guess you have to cross that bridge when it comes to it.
Yes.
Yeah. How did you, just speaking of that, like how did you find your parking space for your home? Because it seems to be that's one of the things that for some people can make them a little apprehensive. You know, they want to maybe go on this path and have their tiny home, but it's like, where am I going to put it? It's not an option for me to buy land. It's not an option for me to maybe have someone in my life that has land. So what was that process like for you?
Well, to start with, we started having a look around the Facebook pages, because there's quite a few tiny house groups where people put their land on there and make an offer to them. But then we were so lucky. We've got a couple of friends with what's it, 10 acres?
Yeah, 10 acres.
Yeah, so we were just chatting to them about what we wanted to do, and they offered us an acre of their land, because we wasn't we've never done it before, so we wasn't sure whether it was going to be a permanent thing or not. So they said, well, if you want to use an acre of our land and then sort of test it out, see if you like it. So yeah, we were super lucky.
Having an acre, then have you also, now that you're living there, have you expanded out and sort of built other things around you?
I've got the
shed out the back, down the side, but that's just to keep all the gardening tools and whatever, and the generator. And that's the other thing I would have said as well is with getting back to your previous question about the off grid, is that you can't always generate our power from the sun, so that's what we've got a generator as a backup. And it also doubles up to our business as well. So just to sort of sidetrack a little bit, but other than that shed that we've built, the only other thing we've done is increase. We've got a little bit of a workout gym outside. Pull up bar on that.
Oh yeah.
And then
it stands on its own for a long time.
And then the garden beds, and that's about it really.
That sounds perfect.
Oh, we did build a little lawn out the back, because we've got two little granddaughters, and we needed to make a little space where they can come and play. So we've put a little lawn out the back as well.
Oh, great. And speaking of granddaughters, so what does your family, your kids, your grown-up kids and all of that, what do they think about the tiny house?
Oh, they love it. We've got we've got two that live near us, and then our other daughter lives up in Brisbane. Yeah, we never have any shortage of offers to come and look after the dog if we're away, or it's like, yeah, we're pretty lucky. And they've actually all said to us that they're pretty proud of us for the way that we live as well.
That's lovely. And I can imagine it would be a really nice time to entertain people, bring people into the home. And where you are in the Gold Coast in Queensland, I think it is quite warm most of the year. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do for cooling in the summertime, especially when it gets quite warm?
There's really only probably a couple of weeks of the whole year when it's sort of pretty unbearable, and then we go off down to the creek. There's probably about 20 minutes away. We've got a creek where we can go and cool off. But we have got two massive ceiling fans, which do actually really work well. And then we've got another fan over our bed for night times. But being right on the top of a hill, we get some really great breezes up here too. So we've got massive bifold doors along the front, so we'll just open those up.
It's very open plan. To be honest, we haven't had that much. Hasn't been that unbearable, really. But in terms of cooling and that, the only other recommendation I would make as well, in our sleeping loft, it's high up. So what I would recommend is that you create some sort of cross breeze, because all we've got at the moment is one window. I'm thinking about putting a second window in, so it creates that cross breeze. But it can get quite stuffy up there because all the heat rises and tends to go into that sleeping area. Like Jan said, it's not unbearable. It's only a few times where it's been uncomfortable and we've had to put the fan on full. But I may put that second window in for that cross breeze to counteract that, really.
Yeah, it's the ventilation aspect. And what size is your home? I think it's possibly on the bigger side of tiny houses.
Yeah, we went to the max, so it's 10 meters long by 3 meters wide, and I think it's 4 point. I haven't been asked this question for ages, but I think it's about 4.2 high, which is max.
Yeah,
and that's outside measurements.
And that works well for you guys.
Yeah, we love it. Honestly, yeah, it's great. Yeah, we do, because we got such a. Jan mentioned before, we've got the big bifold doors that we've got. Basically, just opens everything up to the outside, so the outside comes in.
It doubles really the size of the living area, really, because the deck runs all along the full length of the house. So it's 10 metres long, but it also goes out, what's it, about 2.5 metres, 3 maybe. The decking. Yeah. So it pretty much doubles the size of the house. And because it's South East Queensland, it's pretty much usable all year round.
Yeah, I love that. And it's like bringing the outside in as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it doesn't feel claustrophobic at all. In fact, like people that have come up, that's the first thing they say. They think it's going to be like tiny house. But actually, a lot of people have said they've lived in smaller apartments.
Yeah, that's right. It's so true, actually. A lot of the apartments and units out there can definitely be a lot smaller than some of the tiny homes. So I'd love to know, what were some of the non-negotiable features for you both when you were thinking about what you were going to design and build?
It was the settee for me.
Oh, the sofa.
The sofa settee. I don't know what. I said, there's no way I'm having a sofa that's built in and just upright.
Oh, because you see them, don't you? When you watch the videos, people build their like sofas to have storage, and they're like very right angled. We did actually think about putting a second bedroom in, because we did originally have the frame built for a second mezzanine level. But then when we started to actually build, we took that out because the ceilings being really high, it just opens the whole living area up, and it would have just been cramped, I think, to put that second level in. So that was for everything, I just wanted everything to be, because you've got limited space, I just wanted everything to be exactly what we needed. Everything here has got to be of use. So there's not really a lot, apart from the sofa, that is just ornamental, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Was there anything like in terms of, like kitchen space or having a deck or, other aspects that you were particularly fond of?
Yeah, definitely I wanted a real oven because I like to cook. So I didn't want, you can get these mini ovens and stovetops in tiny houses. So I had to have a real gas oven. And yes, the deck, 100. You couldn't live here comfortably without the deck, really, because of the land is quite sloped.
And I think I love the idea of actually having a deck too, because as you say, it creates more space. You're able to be outside more and you can entertain, have people around, and just a really, really nice feature. Do each of you have like a favorite aspect of your home?
Oh, the view for me.
Yeah.
It's just it's the bifold doors. When I'm sitting in my
your chair,
my settee or my chair, I just love it. Like, opening the doors up and it goes straight out into the deck, straight out into the to the outside. I just love sitting there. And
we're really lucky actually, because of the hill. We're on top of a hill and we can see the sea, even though the sea is about half an hour's drive away. We look straight out to the sea from where we are. So you've got all this lovely forest in front of us, and then it's just very peaceful is the word.
Yeah, I love that. It's like the small and the simple things, right? And the nature, and comes back to all of that. Yeah.
You're disconnected but connected at the same time. That's the sort of feeling you get up, when you're doing this sort of thing.
Absolutely. It's like disconnecting from the modern world, I suppose, in many senses of the word, whether it's from technology, whether it's maybe being further away in a rural area, but then that brings you so much more connection to what is really important and really where we came from, which is the natural environment. So that's a beautiful insight. And I'm wondering what the overall cost of your build was.
Originally, I reckon
60,000. Yeah, originally, it's a bit, basic build, I'd say, and then obviously we've added, different bits and pieces and that. But 60 plus.
No, I think what was it? Somewhere between 55 and 60. Yeah. That's
great.
Yeah, that's amazing, really, for what we did everything ourselves and that, but
yeah.
If you were getting someone else in, I'd dread to think what it would cost, but.
We were lucky. I mean, our kitchen, we got an amazing deal on. It was in a sale. So that saved us an absolute fortune. Things like the water tank, which can cost a fortune, we picked that up secondhand.
Decking was secondhand.
Yeah, the decking was secondhand. So there's definitely, I mean, I'm a big one for sort of shopping around on the internet. We found the doors for literally half price. Just shop around and sort of if you're going to build, just keep an eye out for bargains, really, and then that keeps your costs down. But obviously doing the labour ourselves, because I reckon over half your cost, if you're getting someone else to build it, it's got to be labour.
Oh, it is, without a doubt, especially because tiny builds are probably more expensive than a normal build
per meterage.
Yeah, because it's unique. Everything's unique on it. But cost wise, it's the solar system costs us just under 10 grand, I think it was. So that was a big chunk. And then obviously you got the trailer that the house is built on. I think that was around about 9,000 as well, I think, if I can remember.
Yeah, right, it was. Yeah, around about 10.
Yeah. But yeah, Jan's good, as she said. She's good at seeking out bargains.
What do you love most about this tiny life that you're living? Is there something that...
Number one is financial freedom. So like the way that we literally work maybe 2 days a week now. And because we've barely got any bills, we can do that. Whereas obviously if you've got a huge mortgage and you've got car payments and you've got things that you think you need, but even silly things like our wardrobe is really minimal now compared to what it used to be like. So we're not spending every week on new clothes and shoes and stuff like that. So even those tiny little expenses, or you think they're tiny, they're not when they mount up. So when you do work, that money that you've got is being spent on important things like maybe, well, it used to be travel. And if there's, like, obviously we've got grandchildren now, so we can spend a little bit on them and not have to worry about it. So yeah, financial freedom.
Perfect. I feel like that is one of the main benefits of this life, with, you know, so many other things as well. That's great. And I'm also curious, so is there anything that's maybe not working for you or was a big adjustment when it came to transitioning into small space living?
When we've got like a really, really rainy season and we've got the doors shut, you do, maybe without the outside, you feel a little bit enclosed. But that's like, seriously, that's not a big problem in the scale of things. But
I just thought of one.
Oh, go on then.
Swimming pool. If I could get a shipping container up here, I'd put a swimming pool in.
That's a great idea. Shipping containers.
Yeah, that's it. But actually, we've got a friend who lives in Gympie. Actually, I think they built a swimming pool out of a container. I think there's a company that actually does it. It's really good, really great idea. But anyway, that's it.
No, that's great to hear. I mean, you know, for some people it can be a bit of a transition, and others are like, you know, it was almost like you just never missed a beat, and it was, you know, really easy to transition. So that's great to know. And you know, since living this tiny lifestyle, you know, what one of the most valuable lessons that either you've learned about yourselves or just about life in general through being in a tiny house and living this lifestyle?
I think that's got to be like what we first started talking about, really, is that you learn about your impact on the environment, which sounds huge, but you actually do, because you know, if you're watching how much water you use, you're aware of your power and, you know, that sort of thing. And obviously with growing your own fruit and vegetables, you're learning about that. Yeah, I think that's probably the thing, learning about your impact on the world around you.
I think from me as well, it's like the stress. I think the stress of, you know, I'm looking down on the Gold Coast at the moment, and it's a beautiful place. It really is. I mean, anywhere you live is beautiful, but it's just you just seem to you just seem to be in a bubble. That's what I felt. It's that you're in a bubble, and you're stressing over things that you think that are important. And it's not until I come up here, and I didn't do it for these reasons or anything. It's not until you come up here and live the way that we live now. We're not hermits or anything like that. We know we go out.
You're
we go to really nice. I look like one. Really nice restaurants, but everything we do is quality now. Whereas before, I think we were just stressing over, we've got to get this and we've got to get that. Do you remember? I don't know whether we were online at the time. I was talking to you about the TV and the media, and like just completely overwhelmed with all this information. And I just think for me, it's sort of de-stress. I think, you know, I'm more concerned about things that really, really matter now. Yeah, so that's it for me, I'd say.
Do you feel like so much further away from all of that now than what you're talking about, like with all that, the media and the striving and the doing and the living in the, I guess, in the system, the rat race and all of that? And does it feel really far away?
It does. It just seems that you're more, from my point of view anyway, my mind's more clearer to think. about things other than just doing for the sake of doing or seeing. You know, seeing something on the TV or hearing something on the radio. You know, we've still got TV, we've still got radio, but we're really, really careful with what we listen to and what we take in. Things are a lot clearer.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, just so much information there that you're too much information out there, I think, and you're just bombarded with things. It's one thing after another, and as I said,
so simpler life.
Yeah. So you just concentrate on the things that you think really, really matter.
Yeah, and being able to be more present in your life, like what's right in front of you, as opposed to all the things that are flying at us from all different directions, trying to take our attention away and make us think that we need to buy this and buy that, or do this and do that to be happy. And really just coming back to more connection with self and with the earth and with each other. And I think at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. So
that's exactly it. It's not until you step away from it that you see it, but when you're in it, you don't realize.
Yeah, when you're in the experience, it's not until you step outside and you can actually like almost look back at yourself or life or society and see it with a clearer mind and a different perspective. So, looking back now, you've been in your tiny home for about 4 years, and is there anything that you feel like you do differently with your build? Any modifications? Anything that maybe you didn't include that you would have if you did it again? Or
up in the sleeping loft.
So there was a through draft.
Yeah, so there's which creates that natural through draft.
And the floor.
The floor.
When all the water.
Oh yeah,
got into the floor. Yeah.
What I mentioned earlier about the double skin. The insulation.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was a definite no.
Other than that, I don't think
there isn't really anything else we'd change, is there?
No, and the water tank, getting a bigger water tank. But other than that, I don't think there is.
That's great. And I think anyway, there's lots of opportunity to add things and change things as you're there now living there. So
that's exactly right. And I think it's, again, what's so good about the tiny builds is that you're generally building yourself and you're designing yourself. So you're actually building exactly what you want and you think that you need. So
yeah, you customize it to the way that you live, really. So like if you wanted a huge bathroom but a smaller lounge, obviously you're going to do that. Our kitchen's probably bigger than our lounge or thereabouts, mainly because we like to cook and that. So whereas somebody else would probably have like a much smaller kitchen and a bigger lounge area.
Yeah, well, it seems to be like, as you were saying, Jan, figuring out what's most important to you, what your values are, how you're going to live, how much time you're going to spend in each space. If you're going to spend more time in the kitchen, maybe have a bigger kitchen with more features. It's so great to know that I dare I say probably every single tiny house that's out there is different and unique in its own way. There's not one home that's exactly the same as the next, because it's a reflection usually of who's living in it. So that's great.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's I mean, you see like if you're watching videos or looking at pictures, you'll see some of the same features coming up, because I think like when we first started designing ours, you tend to go through YouTube and look at all the videos, and so you're selecting your favourite bits of each of those houses, and obviously that's going to give you ideas. But that's the amazing thing about tiny houses. They're so eclectic because of the people that are living in them.
Yeah, and really there's so many possibilities, and so much room for creativity and using inspiration, as you say, from lots of different places and different people's tiny homes. It's really great that there's an opportunity to do that. I'd also love to know, is there anything that you both wish you knew back when you started your tiny building journey, or when you started on this path of tiny house living?
I don't know. I think we've been really lucky, actually. It was pretty smooth all the way through. So other than those little tweaks that we mentioned before, I don't know. I mean, obviously we've been around a long time and been together a long time, and it's probably been, I would say, 4 of our best years, really, and definitely the most transitional. That's for sure.
I just don't want to come across as being perfect, but we've been really lucky.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. You know, I think there is also something to be said from just learning as you go, learning by doing, and, you know, maybe you make mistakes along the way and then you learn from those and you grow from those, you experience it together, and then you just keep moving forward and just always continually learning, and everything just is as it is. So yeah, sometimes I think it depends, because I know some people say, oh, I wish I knew this back when I started, and others are like, oh, actually, you know, everything just, even if it was challenging, even if we, you know, were frustrated at each other or whatever it might be, it all turned out really well. Yeah. So
I think our biggest lesson of that was when we emigrated to Australia, actually, because we'd never actually been to Australia before. So when we touched down to live here, that was our first time landing, and we literally sold everything in the UK. We had 3 kids, including 2 teenagers at the time, and just landed, had a 3-week rental on the beach, and we went for it from there. So literally, when you've done something like that, it makes you brave. You don't worry so much when we went to build the tiny house. It wasn't too scary, really.
Yeah, it's another life experience or a growth experience or opportunity. So
yeah, definitely.
Just changing gears here slightly, I know that you guys have let's call it a tiny space business of sorts, where you've converted an old caravan, and I'd love if you're able to just share with us a bit more about that.
Yeah, well, that was basically that was our way of getting rid of our full-time jobs. So I used to be a hairdresser, and as Kev said, he was a plumber, which we've been doing for decades. And we just wanted to find a way that we could work less, but obviously still be able to pay the bills and that. So we were actually sitting down near the beach in Burleigh, down on the Gold Coast there, and we were having some fish and chips, and next door was a juice bar, and it was unbelievable how busy it was. Literally, that was the moment we were like, we should start a juice business. So one of our friends, who's an upholsterer, he had an old van for sale. This was our first van, because now we have a caravan, but back in the day we converted an old Ford Transit and we started selling juice at local markets, and it just escalated from there. And 8 years later, we've had our caravan for 5 years now, and it's so it's really popular. We do the local markets and weddings and parties, private events, but we try to just work on Saturdays and Sundays, and that's how it works.
That sounds great. It's like you've designed your own lifestyle even around what you do for work, and something that you're passionate about.
It is great. Like, it's obviously, when we do work, it's really hard work. Yeah, we do enjoy it. It's a really good thing, and we've met some amazing people as well.
But it's kind of cool that you get to work in a small space as well, in a converted caravan. It kind of feels very aligned.
It fits in perfectly, yeah. And she's a lovely van as well.
You have a name for her?
We don't actually. We shouldn't we?
Yeah. Now, as we wrap up the conversation today, Kev and Jan, so are there any other exciting projects coming up for you this year, or anything else that you'd like to share with everyone that's listening?
We're pretty chilled at the moment. We're just sort of enjoying what we're doing. Don't sort of feel the need to move on, really.
Just loving where you are.
Yep, we do.
Just happy with where we are at the moment.
Yeah. Are there any, final words of wisdom for maybe anyone that is curious about this way of living? Maybe they want to build their own home, or maybe they want to have it built for them, but they're not really sure where to start?
Well, first of all, I would suggest stop thinking and talking about it, right, and just go out there and start doing it. There's so many people like ourselves. There's YouTube channels, podcasts. There's so much information out there, and we all help each other. So just go out there and start asking, or even I think that you can actually stay in places as well. So you can actually.
That's a good idea.
I think you can. We would suggest is that if you're really, really unsure and you're differing a little bit, is go and do an Airbnb at a tiny house, and just live there over a weekend or maybe a week would be better. But just rather than talk, just start doing. That's all I would say.
That's great advice. So take action and go and experience it for yourself. It's true. I know that there's quite a few places now where people are putting tiny houses on Airbnbs and other platforms online like that, where people can go and experience it for themselves, get a taste, and see if it is actually something that they would like to do on a longer term basis. So that's really great advice. And where can people find and connect with you online?
So we're on Instagram. We haven't got a Facebook page for the tiny house, but that's Y Tiny House. So WHY Tiny House. And
also your smoothie and juice business.
Yeah, so that's smooth juice _ for Instagram.
Okay, great. Well, I will put everything in the show notes for anyone that wants to come and say hi and check you out. And, for everyone listening, you can find the show notes at tinyhouseconversations.com. And Jan and Kev, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for sharing your stories and your experiences with us. I know that the tiny house community and, those that are curious about this way of life, I think will really appreciate it. So thanks again.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Beautiful. And if you're listening to this episode today, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us. And if you want more Tiny House Conversations, I release new episodes every Thursday. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and you'll know exactly when the latest episode is live. And we'll see you next time. Hey, Tiny Lifers. Thanks so much for listening. And before you go, one of the best ways to support this podcast is to share the love. That way I can keep bringing you more valuable tiny house conversations to help you on your own tiny journey. So make sure you head over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to this episode and leave a 5-star rating and review. Thanks so much in advance. I appreciate you, and see you in the next session.